This is United versus Everybody. I am your host, Sean. This is your scout, Danny Reed, jumping in early in the morning. Good to see you, my friend. We are here today to discuss a few interesting things. Obviously, you know, when the international break comes around, I like to break up the boredom. I like to just shake things up. I like to have some fun conversations. You know, one of those, couple of those like what if kind of conversations. I had some time on my hands, and as you know, I do have a bit of interest and a shred, a modicum, an iota of talent identification, training, and experience. So I think looking at players who I think would suit Manchester United is just part of being a fan for me. That's just kind of my interest. Some people are tacticos, some people are, you know, the stats. I like looking around at other leagues, other clubs throughout the world to see, you know, what kind of up-and-coming players are. I know I'm not alone in that. I know my boy Danny just is all about that South American life when it comes to looking at these young players and whatnot. So that's what we're doing today. If you couldn't tell by the thumbnail today, I'm taking a bit of time to go through a few key positions. Now, I asked for your help as well in that post, and you guys, a lot of you had similar thoughts, but I'm looking at some key positions now that we've got a new manager in Ruben Amorim. We have a new system in the 3-4-2-1, shaking things up a little bit. We're moving really, like, in my opinion, considerably far away from what we've traditionally done at United, which some might ruffle some feathers, but I think it could be good for us in a lot of ways in terms of identity, culture. I think the players might also get a lot out of it, and the cream will rise to the top. The players who are able to take on that challenge and adapt or push themselves are going to succeed at this club under Ruben Amorim, and the players who won't probably will get sold. But I think that they'll get a lot out of being challenged and getting some sort of creativity and something different in some ways. And I think I think that helps players a lot. So that being said, I'm also going to be looking at areas where we could and really we should be strengthening, not only to fulfill Amorim's system and get the best out of his tactics, but I think also to improve our squad in key areas, just period. We have a few players who might be leaving. We have some positions that we've neglected for a very long time, and I think that that's going to see us have to strengthen either way. I don't know if we're going to go all out. I think Amorim is going to want a little time to see who works, plus we're not too flush with cash right now. But I think that the system lends the need for some added depth. So going from 2 center backs, for instance, to 3 center backs means you're going to want another center back probably in terms of depth. So I say all that to say, not only will we be going through current squad and discussing it this weekend and how players fit that system, so be sure to come back for that. We're going to be doing the giveaway for that as well, so don't forget to come by for that one. But today, we're going to have some fun. We're going to take a look at some players, do a little scouting, do a little transferring, to see who's going to suit our manager and our club as well, because we do have standards at this club. We want players who fight for the badge. We want players of quality. We like young players. We like up-and-coming talent as well. So I've got a few positions. I've got 5 positions, if you couldn't tell by the thumbnail. So I know you guys might have differing opinions on those positions, but just hear me out on some of them, but be prepared to give me some of yours as well. So the positions I'm going to be looking at today are attacking midfield, like number 10. I'm looking at the right midfield / right wing back area. Looking at the left back, because I do think that while Amorim does play that wing back, left back role, I think we do need someone who is a specialist left back, but I think that the profile of that left back is going to be different than what it might have been in the past. Looking at center midfield, and I'm going to be looking at center back. So a lot of positions to go through. I don't think, it sounds like a lot, so you're thinking, okay, you just said we were skint, how are we going to pay for that? A lot of them are going to be interesting financial situations. So I know some of you are going to say, no, we need a striker. And I have strikers that I've been keeping an eye on as well. But I'm not quite sure, like I said today, I'm not quite 100% sure that we need one right this second, or if we'll be able to afford the caliber of one we might need. We just bought 2 strikers in 2 years for a combined $100 million. Plus, I think a big part of the problem is the attackers and other players not finding the strikers. And part of that also is, again, the strikers we have are younger. But I can always do another video if it becomes apparent that Amorim wants a new striker. I hear, some of my targets are, Jonathan David's going to be free. Jimenez at Feyenoord is another player I really like. I think Ademola Lookman is a very, very good clinical, experienced striker. He's 26 now. I even considered Jared Bowen as a striker for a second there. So that's where I'm going with some of this. Let me get caught up in the chat and see where everyone's at before I get going here. Oh no, is the microphone not working, guys? You guys let me know what's going on here. That's not good. Voice, not great. Let me just check these settings here. Let me, Is that better, guys? You guys let me know if that's better. Sorry. Sorry, maybe the mic was rubbing on my shirt a little bit, but you guys let me know if that's a little better. I just switched it to the camera mic instead. So, all right, cool. I've been having some issues. I think the microphones that I have are just, I don't know if they're just not working great, but all right. Good. Hopefully you guys got some of that. Sorry about that. I'm not sure what was going on here. But hopefully you guys got at least some of that. Let me know if I need to go back and repeat everything I just said, because I will just go back and edit that out if I need to. But in any case, I have a few options for each position. Some are younger, some are more experienced, some are cheap, some are expensive. It just depends what you want to look at. So, sorry, just want to check, make sure. Okay. Some are lesser known players throughout Europe. Some are Premier League proven for some of us who prioritize that sort of thing. So I'm going to go through my options. As I do, just let me know your thoughts and let me know what you have as far as your own targets and everything. Because we can all be scouts today, right? How's that sound? We're going to have a little fun. So let's get stuck in today, starting with my first position, which is going to be attacking midfielder. So Ruben Amorim's system tends to deploy two attacking midfielders, two tens behind that striker. They call them inside forwards, call them tens, whatever you want to call them. That's what the system tends to use. Players who are going to operate in those channels, able to receive the ball, carry the ball, and pass the ball, and look for those channels, those spaces, trying to find those spaces in between defenders. This means they'll need to be good on the ball. They'll need to have excellent positioning, reading of the game. And they must be able to operate in those tight spaces, because you're not going to get a lot of time and space in those areas of the pitch, if that makes sense. So what does that mean? Who do I have in mind for my system? So first up is going to be two players that we're all very familiar with. We've spoken about them before, and Danny Boy's already kind of jumping in a little bit. Franco Mastantuono is one of them, but then I also have on here Sphere Nipan. So I can see Bruno and Ahmad very easily working in these positions behind the striker. And if that's the case, a younger option who has a significant amount of first team minutes under their belt could be a great option to come in, to rotate, to really learn their game, hone their craft and whatnot. I think either of these two youngsters would be superb. So I think you could almost toss a coin. I think that if I had to pick right now between these two players, now again, I didn't go into too much detail today because I've already done videos on these guys, but if I had to pick right now, for me, I'd probably lean more towards Nipan, just because he's been playing regular first team minutes at Rosenborg. He's playing like week in, week out. His numbers are already pretty good. But that's just because I think that is the one thing he has in his arsenal right now. I think both are actually going to be available in January, I believe. Their league seasons are going to be done soon. So the main difference here is likely going to be cost. Nippon is going to be definitely the more affordable of the two. Mastantuono's price tag is rising as more and more clubs are starting to show interest in him. So I think his price tag is up to like 30 million now for Mastantuono. But take your pick. I think you could easily toss a coin, like I said, and get a very, very good player. I think Nippon reminds me a lot of Odegaard. If you watch Odegaard play, I think I really like the way he reads the game. He really passes the ball. Rich jumping in the chat. I saw Darker in there too, man. Sorry, Darker. I was trying to figure out microphone stuff, but I didn't forget about you, bud. Don't know a load about these, to be honest. We've been linked to both. We played Nippon in preseason against Rosenborg, and he's doing really, really good this season. Again, what I like is that both their seasons are going to be done soon, so they could come in January and start rotating already. Danny B showing some love to everybody in the chat here. So I'm just kind of caught up with the chat while I do this here. United TV says, hi, I'm just passing through today, lunchtime. No, I appreciate it, bud. Thank you for stopping by this morning. Danny B, 30 to 35 Franco will cost. Yeah, and that's going to be the big thing. That's a lot to pay for. Yes, he looks very good, but it's a lot to pay for someone who's really has been, a sub coming on late. I think that, again, if I had to choose, and finances do play a role in this, because I said today we're putting on our scouting caps, we're putting on our director of football caps, and money will be a consideration for me in some of these players. So, again, toss up between the two. You guys take your pick. There's not really a wrong answer. These are just the options that I like us to look at, but everyone's showing the love, so I do appreciate it. So I'm going to move on to the next option here. And the next option is a familiar face that we all know. We all know. We've talked about him already. I did that video on him last month. Angel Gomez. Currently at Lille. His contract expires this summer, so he could be free, which honestly could be a bit of a masterstroke. And that's something that I think, given our financial situation at Ineos, would be foolish not to at least take a look at. Yeah, Danny on Mastantuono says a lot of money on a 17-year-old, but worth the gamble to get both. It could be worth it to get both. I have no problem with that. Again, if they can, especially if they can play in wide positions and in central positions, kind of like Ahmad, I think that could make them kind of jump up in value a little bit. Another option is Nick Fadley. Nice. So I don't need to spend a ton of time on Gomez. Like I said, we're all familiar with him. We're watching him. We're paying more attention to him. United TV says, he does look very good at the moment. He's looking very good right now. I think that compared to Eriksson, who I think he'd replace, in my opinion, Gomez comes in as the Eriksson replacement, someone who can play higher up the pitch, someone who can play in a pivot when necessary, because he has played is one of the sixes in a pivot before with Lille. But if you compare him to Eriksson's numbers, he actually offers much better ball progression, both when it comes to passing and carrying the ball. And so you guys know I love midfielders who can carry the ball. That's like Kavi Manu, like watching him play I love it. Watching Ahmad on the wing do it, awesome. Suffice it to say, Gomez is a solid midfielder who can play both in the 10 and the pivot, like I said. So I guess he's really an all-around option, and he could be free. He could be super cheap in January, but he could be free in the summer. He knows the club. He's really, really good right now. This is a no-brainer for me. This is a complete tap-in as far as I'm concerned. So United TV says, I take you over Xerxes, Nick. You guys are killing me. You guys are funny. So you guys let me know your thoughts on Angel Gomez. Getting a couple of familiar faces out of the way first. Like I said, I've done some stuff on the first two guys. We all know and love Angel Gomez. We're going to move on right now to a name we've recently been linked with, but a name who I've been watching for a little while now. I actually signed him a couple times in my Manchester United career modes when I've been playing FC and FIFA and stuff, because he is very, very good. And this is Martin Baturina. Excellent player. He's one that's been linked recently with United to a lot of big clubs, including Real Madrid. He's 21-year-old Croatian playmaker, currently, I think, ready for a step up from Dinamo Zagreb. He can play as a 10. He can play as an 8. He currently has 1 goal and 6 assists in the Croatian league. He's tied for first in their league right now for assists. He was He's top right now for key passes per 90 and big chances created. He's created 8 big chances already, and he's 6th right now for successful dribbles per 90. Again, you guys know I get bricked up for a midfielder who can carry the ball, and successful dribbles per 90 I love it. So word is he rejected Real Madrid. No surprise there, quite frankly, not because Madrid are in the mud or anything. Madrid just keep buying midfielders for some reason. I don't know why. They neglected their defense. They signed Kylian Mbappe, which is quite frankly hurting their season a little bit. They have a lot of midfielders. They were doing much better when they were playing the diamond with Vinny and Rodrigo, with Bellingham right behind. And now they've brought in Mbappe, and they have, like, I'm pretty sure Rodrigo's probably going to go in the summer. They've still got all these midfielders. They've got Güler, they've got Bellingham, Tchouaméni, Valverde, Camavinga, Modric still kicking around down there. Modric is still one of their best midfielders. So of course, it makes sense that Baturina is going to be like, no, I'm good. Brahim Diaz is still chilling there too. So apparently he's also available for just 25 million euros right now. So it's a really good option for me. What are you guys saying here? Players praise Gomez regarding decision-making comparisons with Scholes in that respect. I like Gomez a lot. I think what pushes it for me in this category, Rich, is the fact that Gomez is free. And I think that he'd come in, not only as far as profile is concerned, I think he'd be like for like with Eriksen, but he just offers more on the ball in terms of carrying the ball, which I think Eriksen has lost a little bit of just because he's older. It was never really his game, and I think that injury really just expedited that decline in terms of his legs. But you guys let me know what you think. Danny B, haven't seen much of him, to be honest. Yeah, he's but Baturina is very, 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 very good. Danny B out here trying to make some swoops. I try to get Güler, but I think Franco Mastantuono would be just as good, if not better, than Güler for a third of the price. Weren't Madrid linked with Mastantuono as well? I think they're just trying to stockpile these midfielders. But maybe if Güler's not happy at Madrid and Madrid still want to go for Franco, maybe if they prefer Franco, maybe there's an opportunity there to swoop and go get Güler. But I think that if Güler left, it would be because he wants more minutes. And would he get those at United right now? It's anyone's guess, but I think I don't even remember how much Madrid paid for Güler. If you guys remember, let me know. Justin, if you're watching, let me know how much Madrid paid for Güler. But yeah, Madrid favorites. Yeah, I think, and again, it would be weird in my opinion, for Franco to go to Madrid right now, because I just don't see how he starts. But as far as Baturina goes, just a couple quick stats. Shot creating actions, passes, attempted pass completion, all in the mid 70s. Progressive passes, successful take-ons, progressive carries, all at like the 90th percentile. The guy's just a stud when it comes to moving the ball and looking for opportunities. So you guys let me know what your thoughts are for the attacking midfield. Those are some of my options. Of course, Danny threw out another one out there, maybe swooping for Güler, but Mastantuono, Sphere Nipan, Angel Gomez, and Martin Baturina, who we've all been linked with, all have connections with, but all of them are very, very good. All of them would be 30 million, 35 tops for Mastantuono or below. I think that's no-brainer for me when it comes to a lot of these guys. So you guys let me know what your thoughts are in the chat. I'm going to be moving on to my next position, which is right midfielder. I almost didn't include right midfield, but I do think we need to improve there, similar to that left wing back role, like I said. Plus, the wide attackers that we have don't necessarily offer the work rate over 90 minutes and the energy over 90 minutes that I think are needed for this position in an Amorim system. A lot of them are used to having fullbacks behind them. In this system, this wide position would be the one who's going to be kind of acting as that link between defense and the front three, basically. So I think that, some of the players that we have could be out the door. We could see big names leaving, or we're going to see these players fighting for a spot to really prove themselves. Right now, in terms of wide players, we only have Rashford, Garnacho, Antony, and Ahmad. And there's been a lot of rumors linking Antony with a move away. We don't really have any youngsters coming through that I think are quite ready for first team minutes in this regard either. So I think there are some exciting ones. I think, Matanto is exciting, like Danny was saying to me yesterday, but I don't think he's ready to come in and do this right now. Danny, I had Cherke on my list. I did, but I ended up
changing him for Baturina. Just because it's just, again, it's just a preference. It's not a right or wrong, but Tricky was on my list. So Danny's looking at Giovanni Quenda. I saw it's linked with Quenda. We're going to be linked with a lot of sporting players. I'm not saying that all the rumors are bullshit. I'm just saying, just like when Ten Hag was here and we started getting linked with all these Dutch players and Ajax players and whatever, like, and yes, we signed quite a few, but I think at the same time, this is what the press does. So we'll see what happens when the cookies fall, when the cards fall. But so I have three names as far as right midfield is concerned that I think could suit Amorim's system very, very well. There are three players who I've mentioned before on the channel, that I've featured before on the channel. So my list hasn't necessarily changed, but it does show how much I rate these players. And so let's dive right in with my first name, and that's Mo Kudus. What an absolute baller. I can't praise this guy highly enough. A lot of people looking at him when he joined West Ham, looking at Anthony and saying, what did we do? Why did we get Anthony when Kudus looks like this? What a player, though. Legitimately West Ham's best player, in my opinion. He got energy, quality on the ball, speed, versatility. He can play anywhere kind of in that front area. He played a lot in the number 10 role at Ajax, for instance, when he did play. He didn't play as much under Ten Hag because he was still young at that point, but he has it all. 8 goals, 6 assists last year, and quite frankly was a struggling West Ham side. But he also led the league in successful dribbles last year. He's in the top 1% for successful take-ons per 90. And his pass completion is up there as well. His progressive carries are also in the 60-some-odd percentile. So again, well above average. And what's really good, and why I think he could do a really good job playing in this role, is that energy he has and that willingness to fight and just get on the ball. This guy just loves being on the ball. Like, he's actually in the 92nd percentile compared to other wingers the last year with for tackles. So top 8% for tackles per 90 for his position means I think he could come in and really adapt just fine to that position. And sounds like you guys are agreeing Kudus is fine. Kudus, good choice. I think so. I really like Kudus. You guys keep letting me know what you think. I'm going to jump on to my next option here. Next option is Jeremy Frimpong. Everyone was linked to Jeremy Frimpong last season. Leverkusen were flying, and he was a big part of that. I think the release clause was also a big factor in why a lot of people are doing that, but no one took advantage of it. And I think the release clause is expired now. So we kind of missed the boat for anybody who wanted to go for Frimpong. But I've always felt Frimpong was a winger more than a fullback. He plays in that wingback role, but the guy is constantly getting into the final phase of attack. He's constantly getting the ball all the way into the box. He's in the top 1% for touches in the attacking penalty area, for instance. The guy is literally unstoppable force on that wide position. 9 goals, 7 assists last season. If you look at his numbers, literally goals, assists, shot creating actions, like top percentages, progressive carries, successful take-ons, touches in the opposition area, progressive passes received, so receiving the ball in advanced positions, all in like the top percentage. Like, the guy is pure filth on that wide position. And I think he suits this system perfectly. Like I said, he's got experience playing that position. He's like such a bright young star, probably one of the top prospects in European football right now. Again, it's weird to me that nobody took advantage of that release clause last summer, but it is what it is. But Jeremy Frimpong is one that I've walked for a while. I really like him. I think he'd come in, do an excellent job. So you guys let me know what you think about Frimpong. I'm going to jump on to my last option for this position, and that is Johan Bakayoko. Now, I've already done a video on Bakayoko. You can go back and watch that if you want. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I just don't want to do a whole nother video, basically. But suffice it to say, what I said in that video, he is the dream. It's a little bit of a bummer now that Rude's gone because they have worked together in the past at PSV. But Bakayoko is such a good young attacker. Top 1% for carries, take-ons, touches in the attacking penalty area, progressive passes received, top 10% for pass completion, pass attempts, 83rd percentile for shot creating actions. The guy is an unstoppable force. it's unbelievable. And Danny says, yeah, he'd be cheaper than Kudus. Yeah, Kudus would probably be expensive. I think it's really going to depend on what happens with West Ham because they are shit this year, aren't they? So, but you guys let me know what you like about Bakayoko. Go back and watch that older video if you want to learn a little bit more. Like I said, I just don't want to waste your time basically repeating that whole video. But suffice it to say, go watch him play for PSV. Go check out that other video, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Watch him in Europe too. He's doing so good right now, and I think he's definitely better in my opinion than Rashford. He's better right now than Garnacho, better than Ahmad. Like, he's just better. And so he improves our team is basically what I'm getting at. I don't need to mention Anthony, do I? You guys let me know. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you haven't yet. We are on the road to 2K. Y'all got me to over 1,800 subscribers last night. So big up, you absolute legends. But we're going to move on to my next position, and that is this left wing back spot. So this is an area of the pitch that I think we've needed to prioritize for a few years now due to the injury-prone players. I think that the lack of quality in that position as well, because I don't really think Malacia is that guy personally. Let me jump in what you guys say here. I hope either Kudus or Bakayoko will feed good balls to me. Yeah, those two, they'll get into the position. You just got to get in. I think that watching Rasmus Højlund when he's in the box and then comparing that to like how Kudus and Bakayoko and Frimpong get into the area and look for their teammates, I think that's, to me, a match made in heaven. So you guys are out here doing some tactical work with Nick out here. Good deal. The interesting thing now, though, with this wing back, this left back spot, because again, I do think we still need a specialist in that position, but I think the profile is going to be a little different. The wing backs here in this system are really midfielders. Again, kind of like what we just spoke about. But I do think we need a left wing back in general. But I want someone who's going to cover a lot of ground, has a lot of energy to burn, and offers a bit more higher up the pitch when it comes to linking up the play, getting involved in attack, putting balls into the box, and finding, the strikers who are going to be making these channel runs, finding them with early balls and balls along the ground, balls around the back of defenses. This is what I want. You watch Sporting against City. This is the kind of ball that Gyökeres likes to get into. Play the early ball. We take too long to move the ball sometimes, and it's very frustrating. But Amorim's wingbacks need to be able to work on and off the ball, especially depending on the opposition. And we saw how they turned it up against City in the second half. We saw how they came back against Braga the other day. Now, an argument can be made that between the wingers, fullbacks, and Harry Amas coming through, that we may not need one as much. But again, I think the position overall has needed strengthening for the last couple of years. So I don't want to neglect it any further. We need to lock it up. I don't think Amas is ready yet, but we are going to jump on to my first option. Danny, jump in ahead, man. No, I dig it. You're all good. So my first option here is going to be Rayan Aït-Nouri, the Wolves fullback, wingback, really. He's been playing really high up. There have been games where he's actually played in wide midfield position. Isn't Quenda like 17 right now? Super, super young. So we're all familiar with Rayan Aït-Nouri by now, right? I've featured him in another video. We know a little bit more about Wolves. 23 years old, plays for Wolves, right? I don't have to go into a ton of detail. He's going to be entering the final year of his contract this summer, so he's got 1 year left coming up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, especially if Wolves don't pull themselves out of this relegation battle, because they haven't looked great. Like, they're just not getting enough results, and you wonder if they're going to be able to sustain that. But in terms of numbers, Aït-Nouri's got everything you need, and I think he is really ready for the next step in his career. He's at that good age. I think he's one of Wolves' best players. His take-ons per 90 are in the top 1%. Touches in the opposition area are in the top 20%. Progressive carries, top 25%. Pass completion, shot creating actions. The guy I think, is just ready for that next step. In my opinion. Danny B says, great player, Aït-Nouri. His defense game got better too. Yeah, I think that he's still young enough, and I think that he's like leveled up, in my opinion, in the last year or so. A couple of years ago, he was still young, but now I think he's really taken that position and made it his, and I'm here for it. He'd be a good option, and this is why you got to keep an eye on clubs who are battling relegation who are struggling because the parachute payments are good, but you get a lot of money by selling a player when you get relegated. So but you guys let me know what you think about 8 Nord because I'm moving on to my next option, Miguel Gutierrez. So bit of a broken record, bit of cheating because, again, we have been linked with Gutierrez, but I've mentioned him in many other videos. But am I wrong? Am I wrong with Gutierrez? He'd be perfect in this system since he's basically a winger. If you watched him couple of the recent matches, he's playing in a wide wing position instead of like a fullback position. He offers everything you can get. Now, Real Madrid do have a sell-on clause with Gutierrez, but I think that he also has a 35 million release clause. So again, very, very affordable. You remember we paid pretty much that much for Luke Shaw 10 years ago. Paying that much for a player of Gutierrez caliber now is an absolute bargain. This is a no-brainer. Listen to some of these stats. Top 20% for shot creating actions, top 10% for assists per 90, top 15% for pass completion, progressive passes, progressive carries, all in the 60, 70 percentile, take on 78 percentile, touches in the attacking penalty area, top 20%, progressive passes received 83rd percentile. The guy is just all about getting high up the pitch, linking the attack, creating, moving the ball. And that's what I want. I think he's got the energy to burn. I think that's what would suit Amorim's system like a glove. So I know I've mentioned him a couple times, but it's worth mentioning him again because I'm doing the list. But you guys let me know your thoughts on Gutierrez because I'm moving on to another player that some of you may not be super familiar with. But for those of you like me who are dorks and have too much time in their hand and watch a lot of other football, he will not be a foreign name to you. And I'm looking at Jarl Hato. I think he has the potential to be an absolute superstar. He's still just 18, but he has made the starting left back spot his to lose since last season when he was 17. The guy is an absolute baller. The stats speak for themselves. He's got top 1% for progressive passes received. So he's an advanced attacking fullback. 71st% for touches in the box. His successful take on during the top 7%, progressive carries top 20, progressive passes top 20, pass completion and passes attempted top 5%, top 2% for shot creating actions, top 1% for assists per 90s. The guy is just an absolute baller. I can't even repeat it enough. Anyone who gets Yoroheto is getting a gem, like a future superstar. If his progression, his development continues along the trajectory it has, the sky's the limit for this kid. I do hope it's us. I think he'd come and be very good. And this is the difference in caliber because you could say, okay, he's not that much older than Amas, but this guy's been playing first-team football and performing first-team football for almost 2 seasons now. Amas is still in the academy. I'm not saying Amas is crap, but this is where you start to identify the levels between player. Danny B says he's on my top 4 for CB options. Yeah, and that's the thing. He can fill in that role as well, and that's what I really, really like about him. But either way, he is definitely the modern defender where he's able to perform on and off the ball, and he is relied upon to move the ball forward. So I like him a lot. I know Danny's mentioned him once or twice on here as well. But yeah, Joe Hato, go watch some Ajax games and check him out. Moving on, you guys are probably tired of me mentioning Leif Davis, but Leif Davis is way too good for Ipswich Town. And I'm not trying to disrespect Ipswich. This guy's levels ahead. Even last season in the championship, he was way too good for them. The guy is phenomenal. He broke records in the championship last season for assists. He had 18 assists in the league last season. That is absolute nuts. Constantly involved in Ipswich's attack. Top 5% for shot creating actions. Top 10% for assists per 90. The guy and this is what we want in this system when you've got these 10s and this striker kind of running the channels, waiting for these balls up around the corners. This is exactly what you want. Someone who's has an eye for that cross, an eye for that pass, who's going to find that space and find it well. You don't get 18 assists in the championship in one season if you're not good at that. Ipswich look a dead cert to be relegated, which means I think Davis could be a steal, a la like Andy Robertson when Hull got relegated. Remember that? And Liverpool grabbed him. So Danny B, Diamante Scalvini, they're young CBs in Brazil too. Can't think of his name. Yeah, that's up. That's in my. That's one of the next categories. We're going to be getting to center backs here shortly. But you guys, let me know what you think about Leif Davis. Have you watched him this season? I think he and Delap have been combining pretty well. But I like to see Davis get a little bit more an assist this season, but it's Ipswich. I think it's an Ipswich Town thing, not a Leaf Davis thing. But you guys let me know what you think about Leaf Davis, because we are going to be cruising to my next position, and that is central midfield. I think we need a central midfielder. Amorim uses a double pivot, typically with a duo of both the players need to be able to offer something on and off the ball, but the profile is a little different. If you look at what they have right now, Hillman is a very defensive, more cleanup, like a Ruben Neves type who wins the ball, finds a player, kind of like what we have in Ugarte. But we're going to have Eriksson probably likely leaving. I think Casemiro probably could stay. I don't really know where Mason Mount might play. I didn't mention him earlier, but I don't know where Mason Mount's going to play. But with Eriksson leaving, we are going to need someone. And when we have a lot of these other older players who are basically running out their contracts this summer, we're going to be losing a lot of leadership in the pitch. And I think that even if Casemiro does stay, I would like another experienced player to come in and fill that role. Now, I've already mentioned how Angel Gomez can play that role if needed. But this only leaves us with an injury-prone Mount and a host of young midfielders coming through the academy, or young midfielders who are on the pitch already. So Mainoo's teenager, Ugarte is still only 23. Collier hasn't really played a ton of first-team minutes. Kone, we haven't seen him play first team, but he's younger. So, yes, young, promising, really good quality midfielders coming through, but no one of experience when it comes to that midfield position. But Danny's already getting his picks in. So, again, for this reason, I want midfielders who are going to be a little bit more experienced. I want players who have won things, who know what it's like to win, who can motivate and push and know what it takes to get over the line in a match, in a season. I want players on the pitch who are going to be leaders. And I want players who can guide the young players on and off the pitch as well. Now, an argument can be made, again, like I said, Angel Gomez can play this role, but I think he's more of the Eriksson replacement, in my opinion. So without further ado, let me jump on my first target, and that is Ezequiel Palacios. Now, it's probably going to be an expensive one, but I absolutely have a dream, and it begins and ends with Ezequiel Palacios. I love Ezequiel Palacios. Playing at Leverkusen right now, World Cup with Argentina. He was in my video last season for defensive midfield targets. Offers energy, offers fight, excellent passing range. Defensive output is solid as well. Just turned 26. Really, really integral Leverkusen's historic season last year. He's experienced working in this 3-at-the-back system already in that midfield role. I think he can play as a lone six. He can play as one of the pivots. Ezequiel Palacios, to me, ticks all the boxes I want in a midfielder right now. Because I don't think Manu should be playing as many games as he's been playing. We've seen him get burned out already. He's still very, very young. We don't want to burn him out so early. Same with Garnacho, you can argue. I love Ezequiel Palacios. Top 5% for tackles per 90. Progressive passes received touches are in the top 60%, so he's getting higher up the pitch as well. Successful take-ons, top 15%. He's good on the ball. Top 1% for pass attempted and pass completion. Top 10% for progressive passes. The guy is a baller, and he's in the top 15% for shot creating actions. Top 5% for assists for his position. Ezequiel Palacios, again, experience winning things, older, quality. I think he could come in and arguably one of our best midfielders, walk right into the starting 11. But you guys let me know what you think about Palacios. Do you watch him? I know everybody had one eye on Leverkusen season last year, so you probably watched him a little bit. And if you watched the World Cup, you saw a little bit of him as well. But you let me know. He's one of my favorites. I'm going to move on to the next guy on my list. You guys, some of you might recognize this name, some of you might not. Gabriel Sara. Expanding my search a little bit outside of the top leagues in Europe. He plays for Galatasaray, recently joined Galatasaray from Norwich. I had an eye on him last season when he was at Norwich, but 25 years old, Brazilian midfielder. He is killing it this season with Galatasaray. 2 goals and 5 assists in 10 league matches. So again, getting involved, creative outlet, ball progressor. He's an excellent playmaking number 8 with a brilliant, brilliant left foot. He plays a bit like an older Kobbie Mainoo a bit, and I think he'd be an excellent, experienced player that Mainoo can rotate with, Mainoo can learn from. I loved him at Norwich, like I said, so he's already got experience in English football. He was in the championship team of the season last season as well. Even though he just joined Galatasaray, he's already being looked at by other clubs in Spain. I think Sociedad were looking at him as well. Danny B says, I like him. Yeah, Palacios wanted us to sign him 8 years ago. Palacios is so good. Like, I can't even stress how good Palacios is. So in terms of Gabriel Serra, he's successful take-ons, 83rd percentile, progressive carries, progressive passes, all in the mid-70s, pass attempts, 84th percentile, shot creating actions, top 2%, assists, top 5%. The guy is just a good all-around ball progressing midfielder. I think he can come in. The problem, again, is he just joined Galatasaray, so maybe there's an opportunity there for some sort of a swap. Maybe if Sir Jim is really anxious to get rid of Casemiro, we know he wasn't too thrilled with Casemiro as a signing, not the player. I think he doesn't like diss the player. I think this the profile, the age, the contract length, the wages, I think the price, I think all of it, he was like, no, that's just dumb. Maybe there's an opportunity here for some sort of a swap deal. Those don't happen very often, but we know Casemiro was linked with Galatasaray in the summer. We have a couple other players we can maybe offload, and Anthony maybe, Victor Lindelof perhaps. There are options there. I could even see Eriksen going to Galatasaray for forever. So we'll see what happens. Again, not like we've been linked or anything, but he's just a player that I really like. I think could really do good. He's already got English football experience. Danny says, Emerson, I think you mean this guy, Danny. See, Danny, we're like this, man. Because I'm moving on to the next guy on my list. So this guy, Ederson's not going to be a stranger to any United fan. We've been linked with him in recent years. Just turned 25. It's really good experience all around midfielder. He's not necessarily an 8 or a 9 or 10 out of an attack defense, but he will give you a solid 6 or 7 out of 10 in all these areas each week in, week out. His price tag is reportedly $50 million. I think a lot of people, when we were linked with him, started watching a little bit more, and they really fell in love with him. I think what he offers is just a good profile. It was like, imagine like, trying hard to describe, but I can't think of a player that I would compare him to. It's hard to describe. I would maybe say like McTominay, but with better on the ball. I don't know. You guys let me know who you think Ederson is most like. But I'm not going to have to go into too much detail. But suffice it to say, we've been linked. A lot of people like him. His price tag is a bit higher than I would want us to pay. $50 million is a bit high, but we'll see what happens. I bet he will probably be moving this summer. But you guys let me know how you feel about Ederson. I'm going to move on to my last midfield target. And João Gomez. So, Danny, I had him on my list. Kokshu, I like Organ Kokshu. I liked him when he was at Feyenoord. Problem is, he was on my list for a second, but I'm like, he's at Benfica. Benfica are going to want like $100 million for this guy because he's still only like 23 years old. So if it wasn't Benfica, if he was still at Feyenoord, for instance, I would be all over Kokshu. I love Kokshu. He's probably up there he's tied with like probably number 1 right now between Palacios and Kokshu. But I think that's the fact that he's at Benfica, man. I was like, we're not going to blow $100 million on a midfielder. But I like where your head's at, Danny. So this one is just for Danny. No, I'm just kidding. No, João Gomez has been on my list for a while. I really like this midfielder. Like Danny has said, he's really developed the attacking side of his game in the last year or so. But this doesn't mean he's let his defensive output slip, though. He's still in the top 1% for tackles per 90. He gets back to help out, top 15% for blocks. But he's very good on the ball. It's top 25% for successful take-ons per 90 as well. Like Aït-Nouri, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Gomez if Wolves continue to struggle. But I really like what he brings to Wolves side. I really like that he's developed the attacking side of his game as well, because I do think that's, for me, what clinches it as an option, because otherwise I would have just seen him as another Ugarte. But I think that he's really developed in that aspect of his game, and in a way that I don't think Ugarte is really ever going to develop. Ugarte for me is going to be ball-winning midfielder. João Gomez is becoming a little bit more of an all-arounder. So Danny says, yeah, too much money for Oakshoe. We might get João Gomez for 40 or 50. I think there's an opportunity there, in my opinion. But we will see what happens with João Gomez. You guys let me know what you think of João Gomez. I really like him. He's good age, 23. But I think what I like is that he's taken on the challenge of being tasked with a little bit more attacking output. And he's taken to it like a duck to water, and you can argue. So final position on my list today, we are going to be looking at center backs. So 5 positions is starting to feel like a bit of a stretch, right? But does anyone really think that these positions aren't needed? Does anyone think we don't need a midfielder, that we don't need a left back, that we don't need another number 10 or a right wing back midfielder or a center back? Like I said, playing a back 3 means you're 3 center backs on the field at all times now instead of just 2. So your rotation options, your depth needs to increase a little bit. Again, Maguire, Evans, Lindelof's contracts are all running down. We could just have 3 center backs by the time the season ends. That's not good at all. Not only are we going to need depth, but we'll want quality in depth when it's time to rotate. You won't want to lose someone to injury or have to rotate and then see the output just immediately drop off like we have. A lot of good options out there. I had Jonathan Tah on this list to start. Good 28-year-old experienced Leverkusen defender, but pretty sure he's probably going to be going to Bayern. I think Amorim, what we've seen from Amorim is he likes when his team can build out from the back when they're launching an attack. He likes the center backs to split, one of them to move up, keeper to become part of that kind of a back 4, almost like a wide diamond. So center backs need to be a little bit more composed on the ball. They don't need to be like excellent passers. They just need to be composed and be able to at least pick a pass under pressure. But I'm going to take a look at my options. What are we seeing here? What do we got going on for me, Danny? Danny says he's class. Scouts referred him to Erik tenhag in his first January window, but the Glazers never signed off on it. We got Sabitzer and Gomez went to Wolves. Yeah, that first January window for tenhag was a bit of a shit show when it came to the Weghorst Sabitzer. I don't mind. I like Sabitzer. It was just one of those. It's just another example of poor transfer strategy. Obviously, it was hard to plan with the injuries when they happened, but at the same time, just that was to me is more down to penny pinching. Because, for instance, Weghorst, we paid. I don't remember how much the loan fee was for Weghorst, but we could have at least pushed a little bit, paid a little bit more, and gotten like Marcus Thuram in January for a little bit more. And I'm not saying Marcus Thuram is like a world class. I'm saying that's a few million is a difference there. Danny V is jumping on this. So we got Diamande, Scalvini, Inacio, Murillo. Murillo is the guys at Forest on Hato. Vic Rice, he says, Brazilian CB, Tobias Palacio. Tobias Palacio is on my list on my phone, on my FootMob followers. I'm trying to follow him. But there are a lot of young defenders out there. So I think let's take a look at my options here. So first option on my list, Malik Thiaw, 23-year-old German center back, plays for AC Milan. Just scored against Real Madrid in their Champions League match on Tuesday. He's good in the air, quick, still young, but he's not like super young, so I wouldn't have to worry about developing or anything. Amorim does have a track record of working well with young players and developing into ballers, and I think Thiaw is ready for that. I think that AC Milan, they had a good season, right, the last couple seasons, but I think that he's got Tamori and who else? There's another midfielder or another defender, but I think Thiaw could be convinced to maybe lead. So Real Madrid were reportedly interested last summer, and the reports at that time were that there was a 30 million price tag on Thiaw. So I think that it's up for anyone. It's anyone's guess what could happen if people are already looking at him. Obviously, Madrid kind of shot themselves in the foot not bringing in a center back last summer, as we've seen. But if Madrid are looking at you, that usually means you're decent, right? Tobias Palacio, yeah, he's talking about right-footed, decent Palacio. Thiaw, good choice. Forgot about him, Sean. I really like Thiaw. I've liked him for a couple of years. Back when I was doing sometimes what I'll do when I do like a manager save or career mode in FC, like this was like a couple of seasons ago when I put Nagelsmann as my manager. I tried to look at players who I thought Nagelsmann would sign, and so Thiaw was someone that I would sign. So, but Thiaw's good passing numbers, 93rd percentile for pass completion. Progressive passes per 90 and the 62%. So again, it's not always good enough just to look at progressive pass or pass completion, especially for center backs, because a 5-yard pass from one side or the other is still a pass. Look at progressive passes. Look at passes into the final third. Look at long balls as well. He gets involved a lot in the set pieces and the attack. He's got 64 percentile for touches in the opposition area, and he's in the top 25% for tackles. So his defensive numbers are not too shabby either. So I really like him. You guys let me know if you've seen him any. I'm going to move on to my next one. That is Olivier Bachali. So another one that you guys are probably going to be like, oh, that's a PSV badge. Why do we keep looking at players from the Eredivisie? Currently at PSV, the reason I looked at Bachali is he's going to be a free agent in the summer. Excellent numbers. He led the Eredivisie in accurate long balls and interceptions per 90 last year. He was featured in SofaScore's Eredivisie Team of the Season last year. He's looked at by several big clubs, including Barcelona. And again, being a free agent this summer, he'll be making a big move someplace. If you guys could see my screen right now and look at his numbers in terms of like percentiles, it's all green. Assists, top 1%. Shot creating actions, top 1%. Passes attempted, top 1%. Pass completion, 80%. Progressive carries, top 1%. Successful take-ons, 87%. Progressive passes received, 80%. So he's a modern defender, and you're going to see that a lot from defenders in the Eredivisie, is that they tend to be more modern in terms of they can contribute to moving the ball, but also put in good defensive numbers, because his defensive numbers are still incredible. 72nd percentile for tackles per 90. Top 7% for interceptions. So really good at reading the game. That's what that tells you. And I think in a 3 system, he would be excellent. And again, the reason I looked at him, not only is he a baller, but the guy's going to be free. I think he's like 25, 26 now. So he's experienced. He's ready for that move. And again, Barcelona looking at him. The guy's ready. The guy's ready for a step up. So I know some of you probably haven't heard of him. Like Danny's saying, I have never heard of him. You'll probably go watch a little bit of him now, but take a look at him. I think he's French international. The French team is stacked, so you're probably not going to see him in international duty. So, yeah, and like Danny says, he can play left back too. So you remember when we were linked with David Hansko, who's a Feyenoord, similar to Gio Hato, like he can play in multiple positions. Licha can play left back. Lucia can play center back. I think having that, especially when we're switching to a back 3, does help as well. So you guys let me know. Go watch a little bit of him. You're probably going to go jump on YouTube, look up Brazil Scout. Check out Bachali. He's very, very, very good. Some of you are probably going to go look him up in FIFA right now too. I'm going to move on to my next option though here, and that is Abdulkadir Kushanov. So this guy is Uzbekistanian. Now I know I said Amorim wants composure and on-the-ball ability from his center backs, but at the end of the day, your job is to defend as a defender. I love defenders who love to defend. Your Nemanja Vidić's, your Lichas, like I love these players. And I'm going to tell you right now, Kushanov loves to defend. He lives to defend. He's only 20, so he's super, super young, but he's already so good. And he's only going to get better. He's ready for a step up from Lens. So he's RC Lens right now. He's one of the best center backs in the French league right now, and I'm not even exaggerating. It's legit. He's one of the best. His star has been rising. It continues to rise. Teams like Chelsea, Spurs, and Newcastle have been linked. The guy's in the top 2% for interceptions for 90, top 10% for blocks, top 67 percentile for clearances, top 10% for tackles per 90. The guy is just like, he's basically Ugarte in defense. Like the guy will not let you get through, and I really, really like that. And I think in a system that is going to take some time for some of these players to get used to, in a system that where you're not going to have that constant defensive solidity from your fullbacks, so you're going to have more of the wide midfielders. Having a defender who you know you can rely on in that situation is so key. And I think Kushanov ticks that box for sure. Danny, you're talking about Bachali. Yeah, if Bachali's free, man, like that's a no-brainer. Angel Gomez free, Bachali free. Like these are no-brainers in my opinion. So Danny B says he's a monster. He is an absolute monster. Like look at this guy. He looks like he kind of looks like Licha a little bit. Like he's just a straight up monster. But I love this kid. I think he's very, very good. Again, he lives to defend. He loves to defend. And I like defenders who do that. Like, there's a reason we all talk about Vidic, we all talk about Yapstam, we love Licha, because they just do what needs to be done and they don't care. So I got one final name on that list, and you guys thought that I wasn't gonna sneak in a sporting player, did you? I haven't had any sporting players all day, but you guys thought I was gonna get through this without putting one in there. Of course not. We've been linked with a few sporting players, not only since Amorim was confirmed, but we've been linked with sporting players throughout the years. Obviously, we signed a former sporting player in Ugarte. We were linked with Ignacio a while back. I know a lot of fans want more of these sporting players. Quenda is another one we've been linked with recently. Everyone's going to link us with Gyökeres. We're not going to get Gyökeres. But besides those key names, this 20-year-old Ivorian defender would be my pick in terms of the defenders that we could be looking at. The guy is a beast. He's fast. He's powerful. He reads the game well. He's very good on the ball. Plus, it helps to have a player who knows a manager's system, who's worked with a manager. And you guys can criticize Tenhag for bringing in former players all you want to, but when you come into this United side with zero structure, a Frankenstein squad, players who really don't know how to play football in some regards, you're going to want players who you can rely on, who you don't have to spend extra time teaching. And players, not only that, who, because they know your system, can communicate to their teammates on the pitch as well. So you're not constantly having to wait till halftime or wait till a break and play to do something. Players who can help. That's invaluable. So again, I think that this is key. Danny says he's probably my number one choice. Yeah, and this guy's a unit too. Was he 6'3", 6'4"? Yeah, I don't know how close he is with Ahmad, but it would be a good little bonus if he was. So looking at his numbers, he's not like this physical beast in terms of just tackle, intercept like Kushinov, even though his tackles are still in the 66th percentile, but he's getting involved in set pieces, 90 percentile for touches in the area, but he's a good ball-playing defender. His progressive passes are in the top 30%, top 1% for pass completion, top 3% for passes attempted. The guy's really good at getting the ball, moving the ball, getting it out of his area, and that's what we need to do more of at United, in my opinion. Problem is, like Danny's saying, he's probably going to be expensive. So we got Tia, who's at AC Milan, who probably wouldn't cost too much. Bashali, who will be free in the summer, and then Kushinov, who will probably not cost you a ton, maybe 20, 25 million or so, I said. But Diamande is probably going to be the most expensive option for center back. So it really just depends on you looking at it involves Amorim and our Ineos sitting down, looking at positions, and then prioritizing the prioritizing. Like, if defender is most important, we probably need to allocate more funds to that to get someone who's a top choice. If midfield is the best option, and we need to prioritize the money that it's just, we're skint. We spent a lot of money sacking Ten Hag, hiring Amorim. We were already dealing with PSR stuff in the summer. We had to sell McTominay just to get Ugarte. This is where we're at. So we have to get creative. This is why I have some cheap options, but this is also why I have some free options as well, like Angel Gomez, like cheap options like Sfera Nipan, Bashali, things like that. So Danny says, why isn't Branthwaite there? There's nothing. I don't have a problem with Branthwaite personally. I just don't think he's worth as much as what Everton want. I don't think he's as good as people seem to think. I think he's I think he could be a slightly better version than Harry Maguire in the future. I don't think he's that great personally. I don't think he's bad, but I just don't think he's as good as the English media are making him out to be. So, but those are my picks for my team, my transfer target. Sorry. What are your guys' thoughts? I threw a lot of options out there. I had 5 different positions. Now, again, I know some of you really want to talk about strikers. Again, I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm not there yet when it comes to strikers. I want to see what we got, because even a Rashford can fill in there if we need him to. We've just spent $100 million on 2 strikers in the last couple seasons. I know you guys will say that Xerxes is not a striker, but did we think he was a 9.5 when we bought him? No, we brought him in to be a striker. A different profile of striker, but a striker nonetheless. So we have 2 strikers, 3 if Rashford wants to play up there as well. I don't think that for me right now, it's not a priority. And that doesn't mean I think that we're scoring buckets of goals. I just said yesterday that I'm starting to maybe be a little bit more open to the idea, but I want to see what happens, because I think a big part of it is the fact that we're not finding our strikers enough. So But those are my options. Yes, and like Danny's saying, we've got some young players coming through the youth system. Obi Martin is doing the dirty with the academy right now. He's, I think, scored in like the first couple seconds in his debut. Like, Obi Martin's doing well. I think that he could be really good. We've seen how Harder is doing at Sporting right now, a young attacker. So even when Gyökeres isn't playing, the young striker at Sporting is coming in and doing bits as well. I think Harder got 2 goals the other day. So I like the youngsters coming through, but like I said, in midfield, I need some experience. So let me know your thoughts on some of my picks. Nipan, Mastantuono, Baturina, Angel Gomez, Bakayoko, Kudus, Frimpong, Gutierrez. I forget now. I've listed so many. Leaf Davis, 8 Nori is up there. Hato is up there. You guys can go through it all, but you guys get your picks in if you weren't able to join the live stream today. Like the video, subscribe, leave a comment with some ideas who you think. What do you think of young Rasmus at Lisbon? Oh, I've been looking at a couple of these Lisbon players, but there's so many. And in doing this video, it all starts to blur together. Let me go look him up again real quick while I'm live, because this is how we do things on a professional show, right? Let me see. Hold on a second. I'm going to look him up. Oh, Harder. Yeah, we're just talking about Harder. Yeah, I like him, Danny. I think that, again, he's another young attacker who is doing it. Obviously, he's got 3 goals, 1 assist, but oh, you mean young Rasmus, like young Rasmus? Yeah. Yeah, again, I think that, Danny, that's what gives me excitement for Amorim, because if you look at the profile of striker that Gyökeres is, if you look at the profile of Harder, they're very similar to Rasmus Højlund, and that's why I think that we're going to see something different now from Højlund. I think that Amorim plays a system that is really tailor-made for a striker of Højlund's profile. I don't think we need to be playing Højlund because he's bigger, but he's not this Olivier Giroud hold-up, link-up striker. He could get there someday, but right now we're really missing a lot of what he brings by playing that way. And he's wasting a lot of time trying to fight with defenders when he could be using his pace and his speed and his power into that burst of energy to get into that space. And I think that that's what Amorim is going to do. I think we're going to see goals galore from Højlund for the remainder of the season now. So we're going to see what that happens. And Danny agrees. So see, Danny, this is why I like you, but not just because you agree with me. But those are my picks, everyone. Go through, see what you like. Like I said, leave your own in the comments if you haven't yet. Please like the video and subscribe. We are on the road to 2K, as the ticker on the bottom says. You guys, we're only like 150 away from 2K, guys. That's insane. You guys are absolute legends. You guys make this channel what it is, and I couldn't be more thankful. We're going to be doing a video Saturday afternoon, my time. We're going to be going through the current squad, looking at each player one by one, who fits, who doesn't, in Ruben Amorim's system. It's going to be an interesting video. Going to be having some guests here for that, hopefully. This is the giveaway for the weekend, a 22-23 shirt. It's a men's, it's a large, short sleeve, brand new fan replica version. So be sure to jump by, get involved with that. The best way to get involved is just to comment, like the video, subscribe, get involved in the chat, get your name out there pretty much, and go from there. So I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm going to let you guys go enjoy your day. I do appreciate everyone stopping by. Danny, as always, love to get another scout input. So, and Nick, thanks for stopping by. Dark Crow, I know I saw you up there earlier, my guy, so thank you for that. And then obviously United TV, thank you for stopping by earlier, my friend. But until then, I'll see you guys probably this weekend. Like I said, probably not going to be doing anything else, barring any major news. I will be gone all day Thursday for that PFA course that starts at the crack of dawn. But other than that, I'll be back this weekend. So until then, keep an eye out for any spontaneous videos, but probably plan not until Saturday, unfortunately, just because with the week the way it is. But See you guys later. Thank you guys, and enjoy your day. Later.